Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 30th December 2020. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. So yes, these are the important articles on editorial page and op-ed page. Let us see one by one. First article on page number 6, resilient supply chains as pandemic lesson. So the context of the article here, it is talking about the global supply chains disruption that happened because of COVID-19. Especially how at the start the China came under the lockdown because of COVID-19 and the major let's say supply chains are located in China, and therefore how the western countries and some of the developed countries in Asia like Japan and South Korea tried to shift, or even Australia also tried to shift their investments, their companies or manufacturing industries from China to other countries in the Southeast Asian nations as well as India. So that's why at the same time it is discussing the vulnerability of India. Some of the examples, very good examples of industry wise that it is giving here, and some way forward is also, some measures are also mentioned in the article. So that becomes important from economy perspective as well as IR perspective. Okay, GS2, GS3, and overall we can say that essay paper also. Yes, building resilient supply chains. A key lesson learned by the world during COVID-19 pandemic has been importance of creating resilient supply chains that can withstand disruptions and ensure reliability for global economy. So disruptions can be disruption in supply chain can be because of natural factor or man-made factor. For example, it is giving some good examples for that purpose, how disruption of supply chain happens, including this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. Earlier also some natural factors like the earthquake in Japan in 2011 followed by tsunami. Somehow it led to nuclear Fukushima disaster, causing sharp drop in Japanese automobile exports to United States. It disrupted that industry. Man-made interruptions in supply chain are equally disruptive. For example, terrorist drone attacks on Aramco oil refineries in Abqaiq and Khurais in the Saudi Arabia in September 2019 resulted into drop of 5.7 million barrel of oil per day, triggering steep plunge in Saudi Arabia's stock market and sharp spike in global oil prices. This is how the supply chains are disrupted because of man-made factors. And now this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so India, Japan, Australia, that's why initiated the new let's say or taken the new initiative, supply chain resilience initiative for the resilient supply chains, global supply chains in the manufacturing sector in September this year, focusing on automobile parts, petroleum, steel, textile, financial services and IT sectors. So India, Japan and Australia, basically it is initiative of Japan. It wants to somehow what you can say, shift its supply chains from China to other countries. Then Australia joined and India is also, let's say, interested. Very good statement. Geopolitics and geoeconomics can never be truly separated. For example, China has resorted to tactics of maintaining advantageous trade and economic engagement without relenting on strategic issues. However, China, though call for normal relations with India, are unrealistic given the continuing face off in Ladakh. ठीक है, तो जैसे इसका एक एग्जांपल ये भी है कि how China has put restriction on Australia's exports because of, let's say, various factors, and it's that's why Australia has also taken some measures here, moves by Australia, Japan. China has often used its economic leverage to weaken the opponent's resolve on contentious issues. Okay, facing such a dilemma, Australia has demonstrated strong political will to counter arbitrary Chinese sanctions imposed on its key exports. Okay, for many Japanese companies, global performance and profits are linked to manufacturing facilities and supply chains in China. Yet they have shown an early capacity of risk mitigation through China plus one business strategy. अब ये चाइना +1 यानी कि चाइना में तो है बट बाकी जगह पे भी हमने वो इन्वेस्टमेंट डाइवर्सिफाई करना है. So this is the strategy that is adopted by Japanese investors aimed at diversification of investments in the Southeast Asian countries, ASEAN countries and India and Bangladesh. What are India's vulnerabilities in such shocks to supply, let's say global supply chains or disruptions we can say. So as a large emerging economy such as India can ill afford the shocks of disruptions in supply chain. For India, which imports 27% of its requirement of automobile parts from China, this quandary was wake-up call given the sudden shortage of braking components, electrical components, ये सारे जो है तो चाइना से वो import नहीं हो पा रहे थे. That's why we faced a problem in automobile sector in this COVID-19 pandemic. Despite being the 4th largest market in Asia for medical devices, India has an import dependency of 80%. So basically we have a market, we need to have, let's say, more and more investment in manufacturing sector. At the same time the promotion by the government through Atmanirbhar policy, Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India, so vocal for local. So this policy is also focused on manufacturing, boost to the manufacturing sector, and one such sector is defense sector. Among the key pillars of this policy, so the government is providing big boost to defense manufacturing under this policy. There is tremendous opportunity for foreign companies to enter into tie-ups with reputed Indian defense manufacturers. So basically here the push for self-reliance through Atmanirbhar Bharat is not an autarkic policy. It does not imply foreclosure of Indian economy to foreign trade. Rather it implies, on contrary, it aimed at strengthening India's capacities to participate more vigorously without being prey to supply chain disruptions. Okay. So what we want to do through this Atmanirbhar Bharat is nothing but building our economy resilient to such global disruptions, be it natural, be it man-made factors. Okay. So we can take input from this article, a good article we will say. Next article on page number 7, the climate policy needs new ideas. So the context of the article here again providing some very good facts. It is discussing some new ideas that should be adopted in our climate policies. So it is giving some examples or comparative let's say analysis of western countries, developed countries and developing countries like India. So that's why it is also saying that it is not feasible to provide any target for carbon neutrality for India. Okay, so why the reasons are also discussed here. Some good facts can be taken from this article. So let us see what is given. New ideas for climate policy. Among the major economies, India will meet Paris Agreement target for 2030. So very good article, statement here or facts. In an urbanized world, 2/3 of emissions arise from demand of middle class for infrastructure, mobility, buildings and diet. Okay. So it is also talking about the inequity in the climate emissions that is there since past, we will say, built into the climate treaty, which consider total emissions, size, population, making India the 4th largest emitter, even though according to United Nations the richest 1% of the global population emits more than 2 times the emissions of bottom 50%. The kind of inequity we can see here in terms of global emissions, you can state or let's say add this fact here. Okay. So clearly the net zero or carbon neutrality by 2050 and the cap on emission it applies only to countries with high per capita emissions, GDP and well-being, and our per capita emissions are very much lower than the average, global average. So that does not apply to us. This is what the article is talking. Reversal in thinking is required. For example, the vaguely worded carbon neutrality, balancing emitting carbon with the absorbing carbon from the atmosphere in forest, for example, is a triple whammy for late comers like India. So basically we are though we are having our forest, but we cannot completely let's say protect our forest because we also need to focus on economic development also. So per se we will say that industrialization and urbanizations are not the problem. The problem is the way they are designed in the colonial context. जैसे कि जो third world countries है including India, keeping commodity prices low, overly resource intensive, defining progress as a material abundance, assuming that technology would solve the ecological problems. So this is what the colonial context, the economy is designed accordingly. The reconstruction in the West after World War II led to the acceleration of material use, resulting in emissions and sharp rise in global temperatures around 1970, before growth commenced in the Asia. So in each sustainability benchmark like housing size, density, public bicycle transport, eliminating food waste, India is doing better than the West. The rising prosperity of the world's poor does not endanger the planet. Rather, the challenge is to change the wasteful behavior in the West. These changes occur at decadal scales. They happen slowly, but we will say that the rising prosperity of world's poor does not endanger the planet. Rather, it is the wasteful behavior in the West that should be changed. Soft power, India can project or highlight its unique national circumstances. For example, meat industry, especially beef, contributes 1/3 of global emissions. Indians eat just 4 kg of meat a year compared to those in European Union who eat about 65 kg, Americans who eat 100 kg. Also to be noted the fact that average American household wastes nearly 1/3 of its food. So if we, let's say, take into these factors into consideration, we can say that India is very much ahead in terms of achieving the carbon neutrality, though we cannot provide any target in near future unless and until our, let's say, most of the population which is poor, we can say that should be, let's say, brought above poverty line first, and the development aspects in terms of human development and all. Fine. So yes, take input accordingly. Some important facts can be taken from this article also. INCOIS launches Digital Ocean. So Digital Ocean initiative of INCOIS. INCOIS is Indian National Center for Oceanic Information Service. It is Hyderabad based, let's say, organization, institute, which provides a very important early warning system. We can say there is for tsunami or high surges in the ocean. Some ocean related data is disseminated by INCOIS. So it has started Digital Ocean platform. Now here it is the one-stop solution for all data related needs of wide range of users, including research institutions, operational agencies, strategic users, academic community, maritime industry and the public. Okay. So already INCOIS provides ocean information and advisory services to various stakeholders in the country. For example, it provides advisory on potential fishing zones, ocean state forecast, high waves alert, tsunami early warning, storm surge, oil spill advisories, among the others. At the same time, the institute has been serving as National Argo Data Center and Regional Argo Data Center of the International Argo Program. Okay. So this is the basic information about the INCOIS institute. We need to know that the early warning system in terms of oceanic, let's say, natural hazards like tsunami, high wave alerts, storm surges during especially we can say cyclone time period. So such kind of information is provided by INCOIS. Now the Digital Ocean platform. Fine. Yes, some important captions and quotations. So the first, it is talking about the global, let's say, yes, global supply chain. So global supply chain has been in news in last 6 months due to this COVID-19 and the manufacturing sector, self-reliance, Atmanirbhar Bharat, the changed policy of the India, self-reliant India. Yes, इस पे essay जरूर आ सकता है, so try to take input. This is good statement. Geopolitics and geoeconomics can never be truly separated. Use this statement. Fine. Yes. So these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of these mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari Sir and team, you can contact LUKMAAN IAS. Thank you.